Hi, I'm Arnaud Saint-Paul. I'm a philanthropist. I have a background in technology and finance, and I help leaders to really becoming more conscious and align with their optimized self, I guess, and help them really lead their company through their heart using the Heartful method that I created in the past 30 years. I help people, organizations, individuals to get into a state of flow, of balance, and of optimal actualization. On the show today, we will talk about how we can use blockchain and metaverses for a sustainable financial literacy of our next generation. We will also ask the question, or better said, answer it. Why change when you are very successful? Why is it so important? Now, the last one is how to become the conductor of your company to drive it from a place of cacophony to being symphonic, harmonious, and a highly profitable organization. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to part 2 of our delicious conversation with Arnaud Saint-Paul. And he is the maestro. And we've been talking about building a symphonic organization by being a symphonic leader. And what that means, it means about coming into harmony with the people you work with, but more about coming into harmony with yourself, taking the time to listen to yourself, to feel what you feel, to feel what others are feeling in direction of how it's all coming together. And one of the things that Arnold talked about was that even if this seems a little woo-woo to you, it's important to realize that for your organization to perform at its best, you must perform at your best. And if you're performing at your best, and it might be magnificent, so please understand, but you've done the whole thing through your head, you've done the whole thing by thinking and driving and being in what Arnaud talked about was in a masculine energy the entire time. Imagine that you've just won the race and you ran it with one leg. How good would you be with two? My goodness. And that's what we're talking about with this masculine feminine. It's the two halves of the same thing. You're a winner. You have already won with one leg. Now we're going to bring the whole of you together and create this harmony. That's where you really start to excel. So that's where we're going to expand a little more into. Now, we've talked about this coming into harmony piece. We've talked about building this symphonic organization by being in resonance with everybody listening, balancing that male and female. But one of the things I want to talk about here, I know, because I think it's important for people to realize about you, is you have a pretty impressive background in the world of business and technology, et cetera, et cetera. And I know that you are doing work with blockchain and Web 4.0. Tell us a little bit about that so people have a little more context there too.
Oh, okay. So
they might be thinking, you're just sitting under a banyan tree going, Om.
No, so I guess, I have that ambition or maybe purpose, life purpose would be a better word, of helping 1 billion people to open their heart to themselves and to others. And for that to happen, yes, I'm sharing that heartful method that I created in the past 30 years for leaders and conscious leaders. But also, I have created a platform using blockchain to help children, in that case, unite 1 billion children across the world for them to become philanthropists using sustainable financial literacy, and for them to practice empathy, compassion, altruism, because I believe these are the 3 pillars on which we can create an amazing society and have a systemic change at the society level or at the humanity level. So that's what I'm looking at, is how can I use technology, right, in many different forms to spread out these ideas that are ideas but are very pragmatic ideas, so that people can drive their lives from a more a harmonious and open-hearted standpoint, because my experience and the ones with the CEOs I've been working with is that when they start working from their heart, it actually blows their mind in many sense of the word, right, and in terms of results. So what if we had kids actually supporting charities, knowing how to manage money in a positive way and not with the bags of, our families that do not necessarily know how to do that, et cetera, and all the different aspects or beliefs related with money that our society is weighted with. Mm-hmm. So that's why I'm using technology to make that more sexy, and at the same time for learning, right, for educational purposes.
So, how did that come about? This idea of going down the road with kids, because, you're in the corporate world, and then, was that something inspirational for you, or is it something that sort of just naturally evolved, or?
It's a theory of mine. It's a framework, better said. It's a framework where if I want to have at the scale at which I'm looking at things, if I want to have a real impact, it is better to start from the next generation, mm-hmm, because one, they are not that far from my focus, which is to help them live through their heart, and if they acquire this on a daily basis when they are very young, they will continue doing so throughout the whole life. Mm-hmm. So this way I am sure about my impact. If I do that with adults, not only does it cost more time, mm-hmm, more money, but on top of that, I won't be able to scale it to that 1 billion target. So yeah, that's.
And how does this tie into Web 4.0, metaverse, et cetera, et cetera?
So it's all about the sexiness of the stuff, right? So if I embedded in
we're dressing this whole thing up in lingerie right now.
Oh yeah, well, very, very PG rated.
Exactly, PG rated lingerie.
So, for instance, we're creating a card game which using NFTs and in the metaverse with some partners where kids can solve Earth challenges inspired by the Sustainable Development Goals of the UN. And when they do that, not only do they receive rare NFTs that they can start trading and learn how to trade and manage money and so on and so forth, but also on top, they actually release donations to charities that are actually solving on Earth the issues that are related in that Earth challenge. So you see, we're using technology as a way to get people's interest, and through game, which is the only way we are actually learning, right? We are opening the doors to ourselves, to a better version of ourselves.
And how is this being embraced? How are people responding to it?
So we're getting through schools. So it's an interesting pathway. Sure. Where we designed a curriculum of 17 lessons about the Sustainable Development Goals of the UN and financial literacy at the same time. And now we're have about a potential of 400,000 teachers in Europe. Right now we're focused on in Europe to get them on board for them to teach the curriculum and therefore use our wallet and therefore use our cards, et cetera, et cetera. So people like it very much. The financial literacy is a big issue throughout the globe. Yes. And the fact that it's sustainable, right, following the SDGs is an amazing plus. And so we have a strong belief that it's going to work out, very much so.
So part of the curriculum, tell us about the part where the kids are working with UN ideas. Talk to us a little bit about that.
they work with, sorry?
You're saying about the UN, solving UN problems.
Yes. So we have that game called Capes, and we are designing, inspired by the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals of the UN, enigmas, mysteries that we call Earth challenges. And through certain rules in the card game, they can solve, so to speak, the Earth challenge. So it could be an Earth challenge related to water in Sudan, or the same water issue, but for Africa.
Yes.
The bigger the geography, the stronger and the more mysterious the challenge, and therefore potentially the more rewards for the NGOs that would be backing this up. And so what we are inviting is getting more and more children and their parents to play together and in teams to solve the issue. So in other words, you need to find a card and then another card and then another card, and all of a sudden, boom, you find the right combination. But for that, you have to hunt different clues. It's a bit like an escape game kind of thing.
Fantastic.
And so we're developing that right now. We haven't really rolled it out yet, but it's super exciting, and we have some very interesting names behind it. So it ideally will be something that everyone in the world would play with, right? One of our advisors is the inventor of Pictionary, the game,
yeah.
right?
Yes.
Rob Angel. And so, we're looking at that.
It's interesting because I've spoken a lot myself on, we moved from being a tribal, national way of thinking to a global economic way of thinking, and now we're moving away from a global way of thinking to a national and tribal thinking again, and that's causing a lot of problems. We all know that, but we also know that globalism caused a lot of problems. There's no magic solution for anything. But the challenge is, even if you are saying, well, we are American, we need to look after America and all the rest of it, or we're French and we need to look after France, or we're whatever it is, doesn't matter what it is. There's nothing wrong with that in and of itself.
No.
However, what if you applied that thinking? You could still put all your focus, 80% of your focus on, I'm going to take care of France because I'm French, or I'm going to take care of Italy because I'm Italian. But if you put 20% of that thinking into, I wonder how I could help in solving a world problem by playing this game, that expansion of thinking at that level, what people don't understand is that when you do that, you suddenly see your own problems in a completely different way. So now you're looking at, well, how do I take care of Italy as I'm an Italian from a completely different, bigger way of understanding? So that's what I love about this, is that it's expansive while not in any way saying, well, you have to ignore, we have to think globally and only globally. No. You want to take care of your tribe, that's fine. But let's do it in a way that gives you a more expansive way of understanding that can work in coherence, in harmony
Exactly.
with everybody else who is also working on their own, working on their own shit. But at the same time, we solved this problem over here. Can you use that? Yeah. Wow. That would be great.
Yeah, completely. And we talk about the city and the region and the country and then the continent and then the world. It's all interconnected. It's all in harmony with itself, right? So,
but in a highly competitive world, which we've been trained to believe we live in.
Yes.
Sorry?
Yes.
Right.
we are trained for that. Yes.
Right. We're trained to believe in this highly competitive world, and in a highly competitive world, if I don't have it, someone else does, and if I have it, someone else doesn't. Rather than understanding this expansive idea.
Yes.
Which is what I love about what this is about, is this, even so now if we take that to the levels, because I'm going to pull it back now and say, okay, so what is the tribe we're talking about? The tribe is your organization.
Yes.
Your company. So the tribe is your company, and even tighter into the tribe is your executive team. So your executive team, that's your tribe. So let's keep everything in. Well, if you keep all your good ideas and everything in the executive team, shit won't get done. Nothing's getting done. So you have to go to the people you lead and say, here's what we're doing, here's what the vision is, and what's your collaboration on this, and let's make that bigger. And they have to do that with the same all the way down the line. And what I guide people around in my work is to say, what if you stop seeing other companies as competition? Well, what do you mean? Well, stop seeing them as competition, but seeing them as members of a community that you're in that serves a need. So by virtue of that, can we collaborate in a way that is, quote, profitable for both of us, but serves a greater need? Because I can't do what you do. I don't do yoga, Dov. I don't do yoga. It's not my thing. But I know there are members of my community who want yoga. Well, I can go take a quick course on yoga and teach them some stuff badly, or I can bring you in and you're an expert in this. And neither of us are losing. Both of us are gaining, and the people we serve are gaining at a greater level. And so that's what I love about what this is. So it's, this work with these kids is allowing them to understand, serve your own needs, sure, but without cloistering it, without holding it so tight. It's about, well, this served the need. Do you want to try it? Why don't you give
sharing? It's about sharing. Yeah.
And that is to help people understand. That's what we were talking about earlier in the masculine and the feminine.
Yes. In
the masculine, it's mine. It's that kid who, when you take his toy, goes, mine. And in the feminine, it's, would you like to play with my toy? It's still my toy, but I'm happy to share it with you. And it's not a loss. It's a gain. The sharing is a gain. And that's a reprogramming of the thinking, Arnaud. That's a challenge to the highly hyper-competitive idea of capitalism.
Yes.
Whereas I'm a capitalist, but I don't believe in that. I'm definitely a capitalist. I like money. I like the lifestyle. I like all those things. But I don't believe that you and I are in competition. I believe that you or I potentially are in collaboration so we could serve a greater good.
Indeed. And so do I.
Right.
I mean, in the end, this world, we can see that nowadays with technology. This world is made of abundance. There is no reason why you cannot make your own 500 million and I can make my own 500 million. We all fulfill a certain purpose with our own brand and our own way of doing things. And together we can help each other out so that we can get to the billion. And because, again, the financial world is filled with money. That's not the question. There's plenty more than what we need, technically.
Yes.
And technology shows us that, energy can be illimited, infinite. Robots are coming our way. There will be infinite production as well. And computers are helping us to be more productive, and so on and so forth. So that old idea of the world is scarce is very, very old. It comes from these moments where, we thought that Earth needs to be mined and there is a finite number of gold spaces, etc., etc. But even that is not true, because we find new veins and all of a sudden, boom, we have more gold or gas or whatever, or oil or etc. So I think it is time as a leader to start shifting that and start allowing a little bit to start with that idea that, okay, there may be more, there is more abundance than what I think, and maybe collaboration is actually an amazing strategy. And it is.
Right.
It is.
So for you, what was the turning point? Because like you said, you started on this journey at 13, a spiritual journey, who am I, blah, blah, blah. What was the turning point? Because the contemplation of the navel, the self journey, the self inquiry, I know because I've been around it a long time, can get pretty narcissistic. So a lot
Yes,
of
very true.
people on a spiritual path, for me, are like, ooh, they're a bit cringeworthy, because it's all about, I'm on this inner journey, and they're
Mhm.
actually not interacting with the world in any particular way. And of course, that's not true of everybody. Many people are on a spiritual journey and then about making a difference in the world. As my Vedanta taught me, it's easy to be the holy man on the top of the mountain. Can you come into the marketplace, do
Yes.
business, and remain enlightened while they step on your toes and steal your money?
Mhm.
Right. So, um, what was the turning point for you where that inner journey became an external expression and the desire to particularly work in the world of business?
So I was fortunate enough to start my early years of working as an adult in finance, in trading, and which, you can't get more grounded than that to start with. And so super early on, I was 17 when I started. It was like, get your trades, get profits from it, and so on and so forth. And then I had to figure out, okay, the emotions, the thought processes, and all that stuff, you need to put them in check so that you can get the results that you're expected to have. And there I learned very quickly that life, meaning all the situations, the conversation you're having on a daily basis, whether it's private or professional, doesn't really matter, is an amazing teacher about yourself. And when I do that, when I use my life as a guide towards a better and more optimal trading system, for instance, I was very successful. When I was letting other aspects, other instruments of myself being expressing themselves, and without taking care of them, I was very bad at it. And that was my first fire initiation, I guess. And then I quickly went into entrepreneurship because I needed a more creative aspect so that I could create new concepts, etc. And continued with that idea and practice, daily practice of life is my guide. And that's how, I was able to have that a bit narcissist journey, but always applied in the pragmatic use of life at every single level. And and that's what the Heartful Method is about. It's really listening to one's life and using it as a way to understand which instrument is emerging and saying, no, I don't want to be part of the harmony of myself or my team, etc., and then allow it to come back. And all of a sudden, we've got an amazing coherence, and boom, you get the result automatically.
Can you give us a practicality, somebody from the Heartful Method that people could, listening, sort of go away and go, okay, I could try that?
I cannot give you the method itself because it's a bit more complicated than that. Well, I can share some ideas, but one example of what I just talked about, an illustration, working with a CEO, that his company was not able to go from a no revenue standpoint to 8-figure right away. They needed to do that in order to hit their goals. And so he came to me. We were working on the Heartful Method, and he told me the different events that happened throughout the week. And we figured out, okay, this CEO needs to control everything. And so he was controlling his company without, unconsciously.
Of course.
And so that he cannot grow. Because if it grows, then it's chaotic, and I'm not sure, I'm fearful about its growth. Because so I need to control. And that was the issue, the trigger that made it impossible for the company to actually go into revenue. In that case, we worked on a Friday on that. in an hour. The next week, he was signing a 9-figure contract, which was not foreseen. But again, because he had the capacity himself to free this belief of I need to control to make sure that everything is correct and perfect, etc. And then all of a sudden, that consciousness of that company or the group of his community, boom, was able to actually make everything emerge.
Yeah, it's interesting for me in the work is I will often see that the leader has taken the company, the organization to the place that it is, but can't take it any further.
Yes.
It's inevitable. Like, so they came in, it was a $5 million company, they turned it into a $12 million company, but they can't take it to a 15. They can't take it to a 20. And so the board says, okay, we got to fire the CEO. And so they bring in a new CEO, which costs them a ton of money and all kinds of frustration. And maybe that CEO can take it to a $25 million company, and
without
then
a problem,
or she can't take it beyond that. And they're always that. They're like, and so they think it's the problem is the person as opposed to the consciousness of that person.
Yes.
Right? Listen, I took this company from 10 million to 20 million. You got to listen to me. Yeah, but we're now at the upper levels of your consciousness. We're banging on the glass ceiling of your consciousness. There's nowhere else to go unless you're willing to smash the ceiling. Well, if I do that, all the glass will rain down on me and I could get cut. Absolutely. That is true.
And it's never, ever about the technique. It's only about the consciousness of the individual and the boards.
Yes.
Right?
And the boards.
And the boards. This is super important. So if together they are able to upgrade themselves and allow for their vision to grow for whatever the reason, because it might not be the one I just mentioned in the case of that CEO, all of a sudden, poof, it blossoms on its own.
Yes.
But obviously, that entails trust. That entails total honesty and integrity towards our own selves. And
absolutely.
Which is the most difficult aspect, right? It's easier to fire the CEO and say it's his fault, he cannot do it, than say, hey, let's look at ourselves and see what's hampering our growth.
Yes. Well, the board? No.
Yeah.
It's always them.
Yes, of course.
3 pointing back, 1 pointing out. What do you see as the future of leadership? As we come close to the end here, I want to sort of bring this together. What do you see as the future of leadership?
For me, I mean, there is no other answer to that question, which is an amazing question. The future of leadership lives in the heart. I was just reading this morning on LinkedIn a post of a young CEO in New York that has an IT company. And he was saying that he was doing his reviews, the 360 leadership reviews, from the angle of love. Amazing. He was looking at his team, how they can be the best version of themselves. Again, we're going back to that same concept. And it's a very successful startup, by the way. And I think this is really, for me, a signal of we're ready for that, where the heart is the door towards amazing potentials that we haven't tapped 99% of the time. Or maybe 90, let's make it that way. But we have an amazing, it's like you were saying at the beginning of this section, walking with or running with one leg gets you so far. Running with 2 legs or even 4 goes a lot faster.
Yes.
And it's not about speed either. And I believe this is the future of leadership, really, to be more conscious, be more spiritual at the same time, but more importantly, in the pragmatism of our daily lives and all the decisions we need to take, to be inspired and follow that vision that we hold in our heart and bring about all our teams in coherence and harmony together towards that vision is magnificent and amazing in terms of results. We're talking about bottom line, we're talking about revenue, we're talking about all that, and the joy of being able to create together and to achieve something together, but from a place of collaboration, of working together, of making things happen. And it becomes so much beautiful, so much more beautiful. I'm sorry for my English here, but and that's, I believe, the best way we can lead ourselves as servant of whatever is the vision that we have, and at the same time of all the people we care for, meaning our colleagues. No? What do you think?
Beautiful. And what a fabulous place to end the show. Thank you so much, sir. It has been a pleasure and honor.
You.
Really enjoyed it. Please, again, tell people where they can find out more about you, about your organization, all those kinds of things. And again,
with pleasure. Please visit us. I'd be happy to talk with you on Tapuat, TAPUAT.com. Tapuat comes from Hopi Indians. It means eternal rebirth. And it's a beautiful logo, by the way. Thank you for the Hopi Nation. Tapuat.com, you'll find self-help and also a lot of content from my different interviews. Dov Baron will be there too soon. And I was super happy about that, by the way. And there we have also retreats and also an amazing weekly session to support spiritual conscious leaders like yourselves, that you can come, and we are here to take care of you, and we'll hope to see you soon.
Wonderful. Thank you, sir. Again, it has been a privilege and honor.
Me too. Thank you.
And for you, dear listener, remember that you can hang out with other conscious leaders and chat about this episode or any past episodes inside of our Facebook or LinkedIn groups. Just look for the Leadership and Loyalty podcast. Remember that those who control the meaning for the tribe also control the movement of that tribe. Business and political leaders committed to positively shaping the political and business landscape know they must tap into what drives human behavior. I am Dov Baron. I show businesses, teams, and leaders how to harness their emotional source code to move their tribes, because unified, actualized meaning is the one single monolithic difference between mediocrity and greatness for all individuals and companies. I want to thank you for sharing the show with everybody you know. Until next time, stay curious, my friends. Stay curious about the yin, the yang, the masculine, the feminine. The part of you that is the arrow, that is the driver, that is focused, that cannot function without the bow. The arrow moves forward to the target, but it doesn't move without the bow that stays stable and focused. Listen to your heart. And what if you began to trust that? What if that is actually the path to your true growth, to your deepest possible self, for yourself, for your organization, for your company, and for those that you serve? I'm Dov Baron. I'm here to assist you tapping into your deepest meaning to reach that next level of clarity, focus, purpose, and profit in your business, in your life, and your leadership impact. And I am out.